Welcome to Joyous Everyday Living with Beth Amin. With 50 years of experience as an author, speaker, visual artist, dancer, and teacher of self-expression, Beth Amin will help you to access your inner joy and well-being through art, celebration, and community. In her book, Joyous Everyday Living, Beth presents a simple system to cultivate a long, healthy life while maintaining the ecstasy of being alive. Beth will inspire you to connect with your inner being and live in alignment with your authentic, powerful self so that you can, as Beth says, party till checkout time.
These Positive Possibility podcasts are meant to refresh your mind and inspire you to be an imaginal self, helping to recreate our cultural stories and personally access the liberating benefits of changing times.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 17 of Joyous Everyday Living. This is a Positive Possibility podcast, and I'm so glad that you tune in with us every week. We really try to bring from the heart the most interesting and uplifting speakers and information that we can for you. So I'm glad you're here again, and happy kickoff to the holidays. So today is another special treat for you. I have my dear friend and amazing author and writer, Michael Bowker. Michael has had just the longest, most varied career in the literary arts. And so I'm going to tell you a little bit about him before I let him take the stand and tell us more of what's going on with him and some of his great viewpoints and things he has to share. So here he is. Michael was an investigative journalist. He's written more than, check this out, 4,500 newspaper and magazine articles and 21 books. He's covered everything from the Golden State Killer, of which he was really one of the most significant researchers and providers of information on that amazing case. And so from that to the national and political health issues, to writing a humor column in Santa Barbara, where we live, on dating advice. Oh, I missed that one, Michael. I'll have to go into the archives and check that out. He also spent 4 years writing hundreds of speeches for a past mayor of Los Angeles. So, really a political astuteness there. And he testified for 40 hours in front of the United States Senate on a book he wrote, exposing lethal wrongdoings of some of the larger American businesses. His book, Playing from the Heart, the memoirs of a quadriplegic man who became a successful professional tennis player. Oh, wow, what a story. That sold more than 1 million copies. So this is a writer on the big scheme of things. His work has appeared many times in the New York and LA Times, the Reader's Digest, and every major newspaper in California. Also, Michael's appeared on many television shows, documentaries, Good Morning America, 2020, ABC, CBS, NBC, Dateline, Oprah's Own Network, HLN, The World's Scariest People. That's a diversion. You got to cover everybody, Michael. Leave no audience unturned.
There's a reason for that.
And then I especially want to pay attention and give notice to Michael's latest book. I think it's his very first book of fiction. It's an adventure romance set in Paris in the 1920s, and it was optioned for the script for a major motion picture. So we're really excited about that. USA Today called his writing inspirational, and Publishing Weekly said he writes in a riveting and compelling style. We know that whatever he writes, it's riveting and compelling. And the book is called Gods of Our Times. So one of the things we're going to talk about today is Michael's latest venture, because his passion for writing and authors is so strong that he couldn't contain it in himself. And he wants to really help bring great writing from other authors to the world. And so, such as, well, I'm not putting myself in the great author category, but other authors such as myself to the world, so that everyone has the opportunity for accessing wonderful literature and stimulating and heartfelt experiences in the written word. So his latest venture is the founding of a new book publishing company, and it's called 60 Degrees Publishing. It was actually launched last week, and you can see all the authors and books, and we'll also repeat this again at the end, how you can access Michael. It's 60 Degrees Publishing, and you spell that out, SIXTY. DEGREES publishing.com. And it focuses on genres that include historic romantic fiction, all types of nonfiction, such as self-help. And he plans to create a new genre called solutions, because we often talk about problems, but we don't always just focus on the solutions, which is like where all the wonder is, right? That's where all the creativity is. Like, okay, we got this thing, let's move it forward into something wonderful. Let's like recreate it into the next place. So he's also looking for writers. Well, he'll tell you a bit more about with great ideas for next new book. So, whoof, that gives you an idea of Michael's fabulous history. And I want to welcome you, Michael. You're a dear friend, and it's always a pleasure to talk to you. So welcome.
Well, thank you, Beth. Thank you.
You're so welcome.
When I was writing for the mayor, one of the things I would do is when someone would give him a wonderful introduction like you just gave me, I would have him say, that's something my father would have appreciated, my mother would have believed. And that started the speech out pretty well each time. And I kind of feel the same way. Thank you, Beth. That was very sweet.
You're welcome.
My gosh,
okay. I'll both appreciate it and believe it. But Michael, I know before we start, and I want to hear, I'm so excited about 60 Degrees Publishing and your very first new, really amazing novel. I read it and I was riveted and compelled the whole time. I just wanted to ask you, I mean, you've had such an incredible career as a writer, so long and so prolific. I mean, did you know when you were little that you wanted to be a writer?
Well, you know, one of the things I do, I challenge people to tell me their personal story in 3 sentences.
Oh.
And mine goes something like, I grew up on an isolated farm in Kansas where clouds and earthworms were my friends. At night, my parents would read to me from the great novels. I became a writer. Actually, I left something out in the middle of that. It is, I got so I didn't know where literature ended and love began. I became a writer. So I kind of mangled that. So I'm still working on my acting career, as you can see. But it's true. I grew up really in an isolated little farm. And the characters I had to play with during the day were the characters in the books that my parents read to me that night. So I think when I was 6 or 7, I wrote about a 20-page story on people going across in covered wagons in the United States. They got to the Snake River, and I thought they called it that because it was full of snakes. So they had to battle all these snakes to get across the river.
That makes sense.
I hand wrote it all out. And then, you know, like most kids, you go through a period of time where outside stuff's more important, and sports and this and that. But I always enjoyed writing. And after a little adventure with a sports career, I came back to writing, and that's, you know, my true heart, no doubt about it.
That's amazing. Yeah, right from the very beginning. That's fascinating. That and I think many artists that have really followed their passion like you had some early exposure, or they were in a more isolated situation where their art became their way they related to the world, and it brought it very deep.
That's a good point.
Yeah,
like
and who knows if how that works, the mysteries of life. If you're an artist and then you're given these circumstances that bring it out, or these circumstances, you know, maybe it's a bit of both. But I'm glad that your parents, you know, mistakenly or however, brought you to what you're doing. So tell us a bit more about your passion, your current passions, and anything. I want to know about what you want to write, about your new publishing company, about your book, everything. I want to know. So.
Well, let me start with the publishing company.
Okay.
And by the way, everyone, Beth's book, Joyous Everyday Living, is a part of that.
Yeah.
I'm really, really proud and very, very thankful that she agreed to allow me to put that up on our website, which is 60degreespublishing.com. And it's spelled out 60degreespublishing.com. I started a publishing company in about 2002, and it had a different name. It did fine. It was not something I focused on as much as it was kind of a secondary activity. So I rebranded it and renamed it and relaunched it this year with a lot of energy, with a lot of people helping. And the name, as I think you know, Beth, comes 60 degrees is the temperature required, ambient air temperature for butterflies to fly. Oh. They're cold-blooded.
Wow.
So in a symbolic way, that's what we're trying to do for our writers, create that kind of temperature so that they can spread their wings. Now, Publishers Weekly did a big story on us, and they said, we think that the company, which is 60 Degrees, does that not only for its writers, but for its readers, which was very cool. I hadn't thought in that terms, but I was, so of course that, when you see our website, you're gonna see that quote right at the top. Nice. I'm proud of that. And that's what we're doing. And we're a lot of different genres, but historic romance, as you say, then we're doing self-help. We also have a nonfiction section. We have sports. We're going to have different, mainly I'm looking not as much for genres as I am for really quality work. And I also want to start a new genre. One that I have not seen before. And yeah, self-help is part of it, but this is going to be called Solutions, as you brought up. As a journalist all my life, I've been taught to uncover problems, shine a light on the dark problems that people are ignoring. And I'd like to say foster care is one of them for me. Anybody wants to do a good story on foster care, I am all ears. We need to upgrade that immensely. But I don't want to get too far off on those kinds of things. So this new genre is called Solutions. And it's going to, we're going to go all over the world and look for areas that have taken on problems and found a solution. But that solution didn't go beyond the borders there, yet it's something that can be used around the world. You know, there's a small city in the East Coast that took on the problem of domestic violence. And they dropped their domestic violence level from very high. They dropped it 90%. Well, how come we all don't know this? We don't know what they did. What's the process? So if you've got a solution, whether it's environmental, whether it's social, whatever type it is, and it makes sense and it is economically viable. We don't want to do something where, well, if we give something away to everybody, it'll work. I need for it to make financial sense. There's a lot of issues we could resolve if we all had enough money, right? At least so I like to think. But so I am looking for those special books. I'm big on the environment. I would love to hear really solid solutions for plastic trash in the ocean, for example. You know, we're dealing with different countries, India, China. They're not paying attention to the rules. So I can't write all this anymore. I tried as a journalist. You want to ride around on a white horse and save the world if you can. I realized that my time is limited, and I would just want to encourage people who have the same urge and same desire in life to do that, like as your book does. Your book does that wonderfully well. I'm very proud to have your book as part of of our library. It's wonderful, and it goes to helping people. That's a lot of what we're about.
That's a lot of what we're about. I think that is just amazing. I really felt the depth of that, Michael. And the thing that I notice that's happening right now is that we were very, very much me, especially focused artists and artists that are givers like you. And is that we thought we could take it all on with the power of ourselves, but things are changing. The world is different now.
We can save the world, yeah.
Yeah, but we all do it. Now the model is so different. It's all of us doing together. And I see that ever more so since the pandemic has started, because more of these Zoom meetings and more people are meeting from everywhere. And the world has actually, in a strange way, become more united through this little virus thing. And we've never, ever had more of a need for solutions, and solutions that we can all work on together. So I think it's so timely, and it's so perfect for exactly how the planet is evolving and how we all want to take it together. I haven't heard of this either, but just the thought of it is like, oh my gosh, it could be solutions of everything on every level, and people exchanging solutions. And
yes, I want it to be, and ultimately I want to create a big website where people can park solution ideas, and somebody from Iceland can come in, and somebody from Thailand can pitch in. However, I do want to add this to it. This is not pie in the sky stuff. I've been a journalist a long time. I was in the State House in Sacramento and LA, and I've been in politics. I know the reality of the world, of government, of living. And so I'm not suggesting that these things are part of a fantasy life. No, they have to be very practical, and they have to work. They have to be able to work. I was, as I was in politics, right up to my eyeballs for a while, writing speeches and things like that, you realize you can say things, you can say, I want to make all people happy, but your policies are what really matter. Is what you do they work? And that's what I'll be applying to these ideas that come in. So in switching that over to 60 degrees, I want to say that publishing companies, to a large degree, and I've been published by Simon & Schuster, Random House, they don't do much marketing at all. All you writers know this, right? I mean, they basically stop at publishing your book. Very little promoting and marketing goes on. That's where 60 Degrees is different. We'll get your book up, and it'll be beautiful. And I think the books we've just launched yesterday and the day before, you'll go on our website, are gorgeous. We have wonderful, beautiful graphics. But what we want to do, and what I want this company to be, is one of the best promotion companies in the US. We will promote your book. We're not just going to leave it on the shelves here, like Barnes & Noble, just take it, put it on the shelf like they usually do for 3 weeks, sells it does. No, we're going to do periodic sales, promotions for you, not for a week, not for a month, but for an entire year. Wow. And that's our pledge. So 60 Degrees is a little different. We are looking for maybe pie in the sky solutions, but we do it from a highly practical standpoint.
Yes, I see that. I mean, that's who you are. And that's what makes it work, is you want to combine the vision with the methodology, vision with the practicality. So it's not one or the other. It's really a combination of far-seeing what can we do for our future with tried and true methods. And that's very much like you too. You are a combination of both factors. You see the creativity and the possibilities, but you're very much like, okay, great, let's make it work in real time and have something actually happen. So I really appreciate that balance that you bring.
And you realize, okay, all the other books I've written have been nonfiction.
Yeah.
And I started some time ago with the story called Playing from the Heart, which was about the quadriplegic guy who's a friend of mine and became a professional tennis player. It's a great story. It was very funny. It's a very funny story. It's full of humor. That humor was a huge part of how he got through life so successfully. But the latest book I did, called Gods of Our Time, is a story about a journalist from the Midwest, surprisingly, who goes to Paris in the 1920s to interview Hemingway, Picasso, Fitzgerald, and he thinks they're going to be gods of his time. They're going to be perfect people, and he can learn to be perfect. Comes from a kind of a plague I had, and still shows up once in a while. They have to be perfect. And he goes there and he finds out they're not gods of his time at all. They're sometimes rowdy, mean children. But he also learns that human beings are very complex. And he meets a woman there who had lost her family in World War I. And so she's trying to learn, okay, can I learn to love again after the world has taken everything that I love away from me in front of my eyes? Is it possible to love again? And he's thinking the same thing, going, all these disillusionments, is it possible? So they meet in an unlikely situation. But Beth, as I've told you before, it was so wonderful to be in Paris in my head every day writing this story. And I love the 1920s.
It was one of your favorite cities. Look, I have a little Eiffel Tower over there.
I saw that.
Little prop. It's a Christmas ornament, yes, but you know, because I have
book signings from here across the country, New York.
Yeah.
Ultimately, John Lennon's sister asked me to come and do a book signing at the Cavern Club in Liverpool, which is where the Beatles and the Rolling Stones started. So we're going to go there. We're going to go to London. We're going to go to Paris, right? And of course, you know when that happened, April and May of this year, and everything got closed down. The movie deal that I had is pretty much, just gone into chill because nobody's doing much of anything. So COVID was not bad timing. I'm just one of millions and hundreds of millions of people that, it kind of put a dent in what you're doing. But you just can't let that stop you. You just have to say, okay, we're going to go on and we're going to do something more and resurrect that book. I'm still bringing it back, but I've got another book or two or three in mind.
I bet you do.
You're still dreaming while you're still being as practical as you can.
Yes.
Because these days you can't just write a novel, a wonderful novel, and say, well, there it is, everybody take it away. Unless you made your fame in the 80s or 90s before internet came. Nowadays, you either have to have a huge email list or you have to be on TV, right? Or be an influencer or something. So while writing novels, et cetera, is the dream, you have to have that practical element at the end of promotion.
Yeah.
So like from 8 o'clock in the morning till 2 in the afternoon, I'm dreaming. And from 2 till 7, I'm being practical and working.
You are a well-balanced person. I like that.
And once in a while, I take off a day to play golf.
Yeah, well, you were great at golf too. I know that you're a very accomplished golf player. So that's another way that you're balanced. You're out there, and as well as so good. Both they go together. They probably need each other with all the thinking and all the thinking you do. But
sometimes
Michael,
you get them mixed up.
Yeah, good to get them mixed up. What kind of authors? I know that now that people are going to be knowing more about 60 Degrees, are you looking for a certain kind of author, or should everyone just, when we give the information, come to you and present what they've already done, and you want new authors with ideas? So a little bit more about who you're looking for all your stuff.
If you want to get in touch with me, you can go to 60degreespublishing.com, and there's a section at the back. Just let me know, and I definitely will get back to you. I'm looking for authors who they can write fiction or nonfiction, depending. I'm not doing children's books. I'm going to try to stay away from politics if I possibly can.
Good idea.
It's just. But anyway, there's a whole world of possibilities in between those two, right? So they can, I'm looking really, if you have something finished already, I'd like to see a chapter and a synopsis.
Okay.
I don't really care that much about your background. Give me a little bio, but I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, you needed to have done this. I'll see by the quality of your work. But Beth, we also offer, and I've taken the two books that we just released. I've worked with these fellows from the beginning when they just had an idea. And we worked all the way through it. I worked as a writing coach.
Yeah.
And they both said they've gotten PhDs from Mike Bowker University. I said, well, that'll get you a job, all right. But it's been a learning experience. So I will do the writing coach part of it.
Okay.
And the cool thing about that is you will get a publisher at the end.
Right.
So that part is a different company. That's masterbookmaker.com, but still just leave me the information on 60degreespublishing.com. If you have a book finished, if you have a book an idea, just let me know and we'll see whether it works. And I'll get back to you pretty quickly. There's a lot going on, but to me, authors are always going to be priority number one.
Yes, it's so evident. And I just think it's a beautiful thing, as I mentioned, given how devoted to writing you have been in your own world, that now you're so willing to use all that amazing knowledge and strength and expertise to help others to continue this art form that you've been so devoted to your entire life. I just think it's a remarkable and beautiful thing, Michael. And thank you for being that generous, and also for far-reaching to see what we can put into this future that seems very wide open now, since so many things have kind of fallen away, and systems, and everything.
Yeah, I think we're in a place. Wow, I loved a quote I heard the other day, and it said, "We're not out trying to find ourselves. We're out trying to create ourselves."
Yes, yes.
I love that.
We can
do it.
We can.
It's an open canvas right now. So let's create something we've never done before, something incredibly human.
Oh, that's so beautiful. That is so beautifully put. And it's a great way to close our podcast today with my very inspirational friend. And I do believe it is so much, and that's why I call it a positive possibility podcast. It's so much about reinventing these times for a very extraordinary future, using everything that we have, and creating solutions, and using our creativity to be brand new. How exciting to have things kind of fall apart and be the spark of that, be that it's a little easier maybe to create something brand new, both in ourselves and outside of ourselves. So Michael, before as we close, I wanted to know if you had anything else to say, in closing comments, although that was so beautiful what you already said, and then also, once again, I want you to let everybody know how they can find you. So yes, any last little bits?
You can find me on 60degreespublishing.com or Michael at 60degreespublishing.com. I just put that in there to make it easier for folks to get in touch with me. Gods of Our Time has its own website. If you want to go on godsofourtime.org, the reason it's .org is part of every book. Part of the profit of every book goes to heart associations across the country. So either way, but 60degreespublishing.com, and you can see Beth's beautiful book as well as some others.
Right. I completely encourage you to go. I know many of you are avid readers, and this is a great source place to find inspiration and a lot of pleasure, really. So, Michael, I'm so happy to have you as my guest. And I just can't wait to see everything that you're starting just grow and grow and grow, and include more people and serve more people and bring delight to and solutions to the world. So I'm grateful to have you in my life.
Thank you, Beth. I feel exactly the same.
All right. So bye, everybody. I want you to know that this is going to be posted on many national portals, including Spotify. And if you go to hubforpodcasting.com, which is run by my dear friend Patty Teal and Anthony Giannini, you will be able to access this podcast at any time, and you can see where it's being nationally distributed. And I hope you've enjoyed it a lot today, and I look forward to seeing you next time. So again, Michael Bowker, 60 Degrees Publishing, and have a wonderful kickoff to the holiday season. Lots of love from both of us. Bye-bye.
Thanks for tuning in to Joyous Everyday Living. To join this joyous movement, please go to bethamin.com for news, workshops, and fun celebrations. Follow Beth's Facebook page, Joyous Everyday Living, or send her an email at joyousmovement@gmail.com. Create a blueprint for your own fresh, unique, empowered way of being with Beth Amin's book, Joyous Everyday Living, available on Amazon.
The Joyous Everyday Living podcast is produced by Hub for Podcasting. To stream new and past episodes, or to learn more about producing your own podcast, visit hubforpodcasting.com.